Let's just dive right into this explainer, shall we? Today, we are building a step-by-step roadmap. The goal? To get you from just kind of unstructured self-learning to becoming a highly visible, totally interview-ready tech candidate. Look, if you've been struggling to figure out exactly how to land a role in today's crazy IT landscape, you're absolutely in the right place. We're going to focus heavily on the zero to hero strategy. We're talking about everything you actually need to do to completely transform your career trajectory. And the best part? It's all based directly on real data from hiring managers. Let's get into it. Okay, so here's our roadmap. We're going to break down your career path into highly actionable steps. We'll hit the great certification divide, getting past the filter, breadth before depth, the missing puzzle pieces, and wrap it all up with the zero to hero blueprint. Starting off with section 1, the great certification divide, or, the great debate. Let's dismantle all that confusing, conflicting advice clogging up your social media feeds. If you spend literally any time online, you're slammed with two completely polar opposite opinions, right? On one side, you've got a crowd shouting that certifications are absolutely everything, that they'll guarantee you a job. But then on the flip side, you have people claiming certs are completely useless and you should only ever focus on building projects. Well, guess what? Both of these extreme opinions are completely incomplete. If you follow either of them blindly, you're going to severely hurt your chances of actually landing a job. You need a much more nuanced approach here. And here is the crucial shift I realized. As we look toward 2026, a certification's primary job isn't actually to make you a genius. It's about signaling your existence. That certificate on your wall, it doesn't automatically grant you immense intelligence, but it acts like a giant flare in the dark. It tells companies, hey, I'm actually here, ready to be looked at and evaluated. Which brings us to section 2, getting past the filter and beating AI systems. Let's look at why visibility is absolutely your first hurdle. Okay, here is the harsh reality of who, or let's be real, what, is actually reading your resume. You might picture this expert engineer carefully reviewing your GitHub repos or your perfectly crafted bullet points, but they aren't. Your resume is hitting an automated AI system or non-technical HR staff who are simply scanning for very specific signals. They want exact certification names, specific technical keywords, and recognized institution brands. And if you don't have those, your resume gets filtered out immediately. You just disappear. Poof. So before you even get a chance to prove your skills to an actual human being, you have to pass that filter. But passing the filter is really just part of the battle. We also have to ask a deeper question. What actually happens when you learn without structure? Like, what happens when you just watch a random video here, maybe a quick tutorial there, and do some unguided project? Well, the result is what we call the ginger brain map. If you just watch random tutorials, your knowledge fragments. It grows in these messy, weird directions, literally like a knobby piece of ginger root just sitting in the back of your fridge. A good certification stops the ginger brain. It forces structure onto your learning. It drills concepts, vocabulary, and patterns into your head under pressure. And this is so vital, because in an interview, you aren't just tested on what you casually know. You are tested on how quickly you can recall, connect, and clearly communicate that knowledge. All right, section 3, breadth before depth, structuring your path. Let's see how to translate all this into an actual, concrete strategy for choosing which certifications you should pursue. So the certification market is, frankly, incredibly confusing right now. But a brilliant way to think about it is by looking at AI models. You have general purpose AI, right? It knows a little bit about a whole lot of different things. But then you have highly specialized AI that goes incredibly deep into just one specific domain. You need to think of certifications exactly like these AI models. You need broad fundamentals that apply everywhere, but you also need specialized knowledge for real-world, highly specific environments. And it turns out, this leads to an ultimate truth that was uncovered in a recent study of hiring managers. Listen to this quote. Breadth gets you in the game. Depth gets you hired. You absolutely must balance foundational knowledge with deep expertise. This matters so much because you need broad, vendor-neutral certs for strong fundamentals just to get your foot in the door. And then, that's followed by vendor-specific certs to prove you can do the actual day-to-day specialized work once you are actually hired. So where exactly do we start with breadth? Well, if you want the absolute highest return on investment for credibility and career impact, these 3 broad, vendor-neutral certification paths are where you must begin. First up, Harvard CS50. Always get the base certification first before moving to their AI or web modules. Hiring managers absolutely love this one because it proves you understand the why behind the code, not just the how. Second, the Linux Foundation. They offer highly affordable, sometimes even completely free certifications focusing on essential open source tech stacks. And finally, CompTIA. While they're on the slightly higher end of affordable, they are universally known. They are super respected for laying down those essential IT fundamentals that literally every employer recognizes.
Now, once you have that breadth, it is time to build depth. Here are the heavy-hitting, vendor-specific certifications you need based on the exact IT job role you want to specialize in. If you're aiming for cybersecurity, you should definitely be looking at credentials from Splunk, CrowdStrike, or Offensive Security. For artificial intelligence, focus your energy on IBM, NVIDIA, or Databricks. And for cloud platforms, you've got the big three: AWS, GCP, and Azure. All of these offer highly specialized paths for data science, security, and cloud development.
Moving right along to Section 4, the missing puzzle pieces beyond the filter. Because honestly, getting past the AI with certifications is really only half the battle. So let's say you've structured your learning, you've got your breadth and your depth, and your resume actually made it through those automated systems. Awesome. You are now sitting across from a real, live human hiring manager. Now what? Well, the stakes instantly change. Now they want to test your character. They want to test your motivations and how you behave as an employee. They want to know what you do when you hit a brick wall, and the answer isn't just sitting there in a textbook. And this is exactly where we have to finally destroy that false dichotomy we talked about at the very beginning. It is not certifications versus projects. It is certifications plus projects. Certifications, they open the door. They solve the visibility problem. But projects provide the stories, they provide the specific examples, and the undeniable proof of work required to actually pass the human interview and get the job. Each one solves a completely different problem in the hiring process, and you absolutely need both. Oh, and there's one more massive puzzle piece you simply cannot ignore. Programming is absolutely no longer optional in any IT domain. Doesn't matter if it's networking, DevOps, or data. Graphical user interfaces just take way too much time for large amounts of tasks, so companies want someone who can write scripts and automate the whole shebang. But what I found really fascinating is that at the entry level today, your biggest value isn't necessarily writing code from scratch. No, it's debugging the insecure or inefficient code that an AI just generated. Your ability to read, understand, and fix that code is what makes you incredibly valuable. So, you have to prove this programming merit. You can do this via specific programming certificates, think Coursera, Oracle, or FreeCodeCamp. Or you can prove it through industry-level hackathons and big group projects. But a huge warning here. A basic to-do list student project doesn't impress anyone anymore. We're in the era of vibe coding, right? Anyone can prompt an AI to generate a simple app. Your proof has to be rigorous. It has to show true industry-level work that demonstrates deep, fundamental understanding. And finally, we reach Section 5, the Zero to Hero Blueprint, the final strategy. Let's bring everything we've talked about together into a clear, unified action plan for your career. Before we reveal those final steps, here is a bit of a secret weapon you should definitely know about: vertical stacking with Azure. Unlike a lot of other tracks, Azure actually allows you to vertically stack your certifications. For example, in AI, you could start with the AI 901 for the foundation, then move to AI 102 to go a bit deeper, and then top it off with ML 300. This powerfully demonstrates a layered, highly specialized expertise to hiring managers. And honestly, when done right, it can even completely compensate for gaps in your GPA or lack of traditional academic credentials. It's a total game changer. So here it is. This is your exact step-by-step zero to hero strategy. Step 1. Get structured and cure that ginger brain by using certifications to guide your learning. Step 2. Get visible. Use those certs to bypass the AI and HR filters. Step 3. Build both breadth and depth. Start vendor neutral for your fundamentals, then go vendor specific for your targeted job role. And step 4, support it all with real, industry-level projects and absolutely undeniable programming ability. You now have the exact blueprint to go from an invisible, unstructured learner to a highly visible, top-tier tech candidate. The automated filters are out there running right now. So the question is, are you going to let an algorithm just throw out your resume, or are you going to force them to see you? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.